You good?
Coach will make a quick opening statement, and we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, first of all, we came out of the Hokie pep rally with all the freshmen down in the stadium 2 nights ago. We took our freshman group. Just super excited for the fall, all these fall sports kicking off. Wish them a ton of luck. A lot of, just relationship, sportsmanship among the teams, and it was evident in the stadium the other night. So the other thing is, to just broad base on Vanderbilt, Clark Lee, tremendous respect for Coach Lee, fellow defensive coordinator that has always done it the right way. He's earned everything he's gotten. He's very sound, hard-nosed. And then, he knows Vanderbilt. I think a similar situation, much to, like I have here, knowing what you really believe is right for Virginia Tech because of experiences there. He feels that way about Vanderbilt. No doubt he's doing a great job. Just tremendous amount of respect there. I was there when they were coming off back-to-back 2-win seasons, and we go win 6, and then we win 9. And the opportunity and potential is there, and I know there'll be a much improved football team. I'll take some questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get your wireless mic and start with Andy.
You mentioned those 3 years at Vandy. Any things stand out from turning that program around?
Great kids, great school. Football's important to that team, and they're invested right now in it. They're putting money into their program, and we had to do some things differently that they hadn't done when we were there to get that thing rolling. But there's enough talent in their footprint. They have attractive, obviously, education, and they compete in the SEC. Just hard-nosed guys that have something to prove and want to make their mark, and willing to work. And again, I think with the staff he's put together, and the input from the portal, with the high school players they've developed, they're going to be a different-looking football team.
Think you'll recognize the stadium when you go down there?
I'm not sure. It's been quite a while. I don't know that I've been back by the stadium. I've been in Nashville, but I hear they've done some good things, or some good things are ongoing. But really good people there, still some staff, around the department that I think highly of.
Brent, with Diego Pavia likely being the starting QB for Vandy, is the fact that Sam Brumfield played against him last year when he was at Middle and Pavia was at New Mexico State help in terms of scouting because Brumfield has seen him on person and not just on film?
I think Sam's experience helps just kind of reaffirm what we all think when we watch him on film. This guy is an ultimate competitor. He's tough as nails. He extends plays. He's got no fear. Reminds me a little bit of a guy we had at Penn State named Trace McSorley, kind of the way he plays the game. Very determined quarterback. And Sam just has nothing but respect for Diego. And, thinks he's a heck of a quarterback, knows he's going to play his guts out, and that those guys will play for him.
That 2012 season you guys had at Vanderbilt, you won, I believe, the last 7 straight that year. What do you remember about just turning that program around? And any time, last couple of years here, did you think back to moments like that when you were in those tough battles and, you eventually got to the other side there?
Yeah, I think it was, the culture. First and foremost, you can impact that the most with good people. You hire the right people, you recruit the right people. I think improving the talent level on the roster slowly but surely, and gaining confidence. And we were able to do those things. We kind of snuck in, got our 6th win, and lost a bowl game in year 1, but really had momentum come out of that season, and we were able to capitalize on it. We had a bunch of people trusting the process, to be quite honest.
what do you remember about your first year? What do you remember about a young Chris Marv as a player, being able to coach him?
Yeah. He, a lot like he is now, he was intense. He was a student of the game, and he was a leader. You know, all the things that you see from him now, leading our defense and our defensive staff. A really impressive guy, 3 or 4-time All-SEC, and you know, a great student. And you know, I think everybody around that place respected Chris. I think people in the league respected Chris. And you know, it was apparent to me coming out of that season that if Chris ever wanted to coach, you know, I'd certainly want to give him an opportunity.
Let's go Raza and then Andy.
Coach, you said earlier that Nick Gallo had about a 50-50 shot at playing this Saturday. Do you feel better or worse about his odds of playing now?
Yeah, I'd say it's about the same right now. We'll see how this week goes. You know, and it's not just about being healthy. It's also about, do you have enough work and reps to feel good about, you know, going out there and playing well. So we'll see how the week goes.
And I know you say not to take too much stock of the unofficial depth charts, but with Benji Gosnell being listed as the starting tight end, even if Nick were 100%, do you like Benji at that starting tight end position?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, Benji is, if there were 3 or 4 guys I were to name about, you know, just having an outstanding camp, he would be one of them. He's put a bunch of weight on, good weight. He's 255, 258. He's really making the contested catches consistently that is necessary at that position, and he's improved on, you know, getting pad on pad in the run game. Very proud of the progress and development in Benji right now.
Let's go Andy, then we'll go Brooke and David.
At least on the depth chart, you went with the Ganem at left guard and then the Moore brothers. What did you ultimately like more about that lineup than what you finished last season with?
Yeah, I think it's you know, that combination, we like that the best. It wasn't one person. It was what Braylon can bring us, and as he gets better at that position, a very bright player, very composed player, very poised player at center, great at IDing things and good communicator. You know, Caden has good experience at the guard spot. He's physical, he's big, he's strong, he moves well. And then Lath's athleticism, you know, kind of in the end, we wanted to get that out there. You know, sometimes you're going to get beat off the ball. Sometimes you're going to get behind, you know, on the rep. You're in a defeated position, and Lath's athleticism and movements give him a chance to recover. You know, give the play a chance to get something out of it. I think he gives us a little bit there. We'll have a healthy rotation. Unlike last year, we've got some depth there now with Brody and his experience, with Bob and his experience. Caden Moore, you know, is the next center in the game if something should happen with Braylon. And we feel good about Brody and Bob, you know, coming along. And then on the outside with Montavious working at tackle now and Johnny Garrett working at the other one, just in a better position from a depth standpoint as well.
And the other spot, safety, kind of hinted at that Mose might be the starter there last week. What have you liked about his development in this offseason in August to make the leap up to a starting spot for him?
Yeah, I think as a freshman, Mose played with great intensity. He was aggressive. He was a good tackler. You know, he's executing and functioning in the defense much better. He's communicating much better. Plays, you know, with better fundamentals and technique. He's just grown as a second-year player the way you hope that he would. And, you know, like I said earlier, I think he's outplayed everybody in that boundary spot.
Back of the room, Brooke.
Hey, Coach.
Hey.
Happy game week.
Thank you.
Is there a unit that you're feeling the most confident about that you don't really feel like you have to worry too much about this week?
I don't know if I ever want to say that. I mean, I feel good about most areas on our team, but, you know, we have to go do it. We have to go play the way we're capable. That's half the battle sometimes. You know, you can get to a point. You know, I love the depth on our defensive line. We've got some talented guys that have proven production, and we have depth on top of that. You know, to be able to apply pressure and strain and play physical for 4 quarters on the defensive line is, you know, most years when we've been able to do that, it's bode well for our defense. It starts up front, and we've got a group that Coach Price has led that I'm anxious to see them play.
Damien.
At linebacker, do you view Kelly Lawson and Caleb Woodson interchangeable at will and Star as the backups there? Or do you feel like Caleb needs a little bit more seasoning before you have him play a lot more at will?
No, I think you're probably right with where you started your statement. As I've always said, we believe in those guys training at two positions. Occasionally your Mike won't do that, which Sam hasn't, not in the time he's been with us. But Caleb's, gotten good work at both spots, and Kelly's gotten really good work at both spots. So, you could easily see those guys at either spot in this football game.
McDonald played really strong at will at the end of last year. Do you feel like he's grown into that Mike position, especially with having Sam there in the fold?
Yeah, he's a nice complement to Sam. He's physical, he's big and strong, he's good in the tackle box. Jaden Keller is also playing a lot of Mike linebacker right now, and you could easily see him in the game at some point running the defense as well.
Let's go Nels and then David.
Hey, Coach, I'm Nels Williams at ESPN Blacksburg.
Hey, man.
With this being your third summer session finally in the books and the season, just a few days away, how did this summer session compare to the last in the past? I mean, did you do anything differently this summer that you didn't do prior? Or is there anything you tinkered and changed with? And overall, just how are you feeling out of this summer compared to summers in the past?
Yeah, we came out of it very healthy and much improved from a weight gain, a strength gain, speed and agility, and we did it while, for the most part, being healthy. And it set us up for a good camp, most importantly, and that's what you want from the summer. And we were able to, I think we tagged like 18 practices, the first 18, and the amount of volume in the practice, the amount of high velocity running and short area quickness in those 18 practices, 16 of them were more than last year's camp, and some of them significantly. And we had fewer injuries. So we were a better team going into camp, better able to do some things we needed to do. The workload was larger, was stronger, was better. We had more, high-speed running. We were just able to get more done in camp because of the summer we had. So I feel good about that.
And how much of a weight off your shoulders was it knowing that heading into this summer, many of your units and many of the guys in your positions were already penciled in and already starred, and you did not have to worry about, whether or not there's certain controversies at any positions. And with that, were you able to allocate any resources that you previously would have had to in figuring out who those guys were in any other areas?
No, I don't think so. You always have things you worry about. And even with a veteran group, you're looking for complacency, you're looking for entitlement, those type of things. There's always things that you're monitoring, whether it's improvement, development, young guys figuring out if they can do it or not. We've got more guys that we know more about that have done it in ball games. And that's a good feeling, right? There's some confidence in that. There's comfort in that. But at the same time, I've been around veteran teams that haven't gone out and played to their potential. And we got to make sure that doesn't happen. And that starts in practice, that they're practicing the way they need to every day. The practice habits are where they need to be. And we've been a good group that way.
Let's go David and then Brooke, and then we'll go to zone.
Obviously, on offense, the person wearing the helmet communication is probably going to be the quarterback. On the defensive side, is that going to be Sam in the middle?
Yeah. Yeah, we've got two linebackers in it, and we've got a safety in one.
What happens when, like, say Kyron has to come off the field for a play because his helmet comes off? Is it like all quarterbacks have it? How does that work?
Yeah, the first three have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What has impressed you the most about a guy like Quentin Reddish? He's the only freshman, the true freshman in the two deep, and for him to be able to kind of come in and have a chance to challenge for playing time, do you feel confident if you had to throw him into the fire on Saturday?
I do. He's going to play. He'll be in the rotation, and he'll play some, good number of reps on special teams. He's got a good football IQ for a young guy, and he's got I would say what you'd call a corner/safety skill set. He's got length. He's physical, but he's got foot speed and true speed, to cover. I've been impressed with Q and how he's worked, how he's approached things. I'm not sure if you came out to practice that you would say that's a true freshman. He's a little on the thin side still, but he's doing a lot of things like a second-year player.
Okay, this is a follow-up to last week. I was not trying to trick you into telling me a kid in our area you're trying to recruit who has caught your eye. I want you to tell me a kid on the team this summer who's local, who you feel like has kind of stood out to you, who has been part of your recruitment the last 3 years.
Yeah, the guy that jumps out first is PJ Prelude. He had a good spring game that people saw, but that's continued through camp. He lines up at running back. He lines up at wide receiver. He's on a bunch of special teams. He's earned everybody's respect. I told him there's one thing left to do. Let's go do it on Saturday. Like, do it in a ball game. And, put the icing on the cake, go help us win a game. And, he's an awesome young man. He's got a lot better ability and skill set than his dad. So we're excited to see what he can do.
Last one before Zoom, Miriam.
Coach, just tell me a little bit about your thoughts of just kind of opening up on the road in week 1, and then the expectations for the team going out there and playing.
Yeah, I think it's a great question. Opening up on the road is always a little different, and you'd love to be at home in your routine and have that extra day, and everything's sped up. When you're leaving, you're going to practice Friday morning early, and then shower up and get on the road, and so it heightens things, it quickens things. You're going on the road to play an SEC opponent at their place to kick the season off. There's a ton of hype. They're fired up about their team and the promise of the year they can have, just like we are. So it's challenging being on the road. 11 a.m. kick. It's going to be hot. Hopefully there'll be a bunch of Hokies in the stands, and our guys are anxious to play. Just like everybody, camp gets long. It gets long. You compete against each other, and our guys did a great job of that. But at some point, enough is enough, and you just want to play somebody else.
All right, we've got time for a few questions on Zoom.
On Zoom, please use the raise hand feature to ask your questions, and please also state your name and affiliation as well. We'll start with Mike, please.
Hey, Brent, it's Mike Barber from the Times-Dispatch in Richmond.
Hey, Mike.
How are you? I wanted to ask you, Takai Heath, Kyron and Tyler mentioned the idea that you guys are going to use receivers in different roles, inside, outside, move them around. I know Takai is valuable in that slot. Is he a guy that can play multiple spots, and what do you expect his impact to be this season?
Yeah, I think he can help us. He has to stay healthy. That's the biggest issue with Takai right now. He had his, I'd say this camp, he played his best football since he's been with us. Made plays, had consistent stacking days, but he's certainly, he's coming along, learning the position. I think the next step is to be able to line up at more than one, which most of those guys can do, and a couple of them can play all the spots. But I would love for Takai to help us this fall. I think on special teams and at wide receiver, and he's shown in moments he can do that. But he's got to be healthy. He's got to prepare, and then just kind of like PJ, he's got to go do it in a ball game.
And then
he'll
with
have the
Keyshawn
opportunity.
Burgos.
Say it again.
I'm sorry, with Keyshawn Burgos, I know you guys are going to rotate at that end spot, so maybe who starts doesn't matter. But what's been his progress? You've talked before about his maturation. What did you need to see from him this year?
Yeah, a couple of things. He's starting to fill out. He's got a great frame. But, he was struggling to put the weight on to really be, the size and the strength that he could. I think he's done that. He plays with a tremendous motor. And so when you couple that with a strong guy that's got some weight on him, and it's hard to block. And he also he's just, I know we had the incident with the inside run early in camp, but he's gained poise and composure. He's a more mature football player than he was last fall. All that's going to help him.
Thank you.
We'll go to David next.
Brent, David Teal from the Times-Dispatch. In an era of rampant roster turnovers, with the portal and such, how much more challenging are openers, especially to prepare for?
Yeah, it's always tough, but Vanderbilt, for example, they've got an influx of coaches on the offensive side of the ball primarily, an influx of players. You're watching film from 6 different schools last year to kind of get a sense of the unit that they're going to put out there, and it's challenging. I know there's teams, certainly at the Group of 5 level, with 50 and 60 new players. And then you look at even a team like Vanderbilt. I believe their number's 20 to 25 new players. So it's it makes our job a little tougher to vet the new players. What do they look like? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Potential with coaching changes. How does that affect the system, the scheme? So there's a lot that goes into it, certainly.
And given all that, how incumbent will it be upon you and your staff to adjust quickly in game?
Yeah, going to be very important. I think the iPads are game changers in that regard. You don't have to guess as much. You can go back and look at it right after the series and make sure you have it right, what you thought was happening. Something new, a wrinkle, something that, that maybe you haven't practiced that you want to make sure you get covered with your guys. I think you can get to those things more quickly now because of the iPads on the sideline and in the booth.
We'll go to Steve next.
It's Steve Hempel from the Virginian Pilot and Daily Press. Was there anything to any reflections on the week 0 on some of the other ACC schools and how that went down, and any lessons to be learned from that?
It just reinforced our message that, the preseason hype, the preseason predictions, they really don't mean anything. It's just noise. It can affect the way we practice, the way we work, the way we trust the process. We got to remain humble. We got to remain hungry. I pointed out, in no disrespect, but Pat McAfee talks about us winning the league, and in the same breath, he's talking about Florida State in the playoffs, and then there's an upset. It's just too early to talk about all those things, to worry about those things, and we got to control what we can control, and for the most part, our guys have done a good job of that.
Thank you.
Any final questions on Zoom? Okay, Travis.
Anything else in the room for Coach? Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys.